Barack and Michelle Obama may be one of the most high-profile couples on the planet, but at the end of the day, they're just a regular couple. This is the truth about their relationship. Michelle and Barack Obama first met at a Chicago law firm where they were both working at the time. The year was 1989, and the young Michelle didn't have time for just any suitor. She knew what she wanted, and what she wanted wasn't Barack, or so she thought. When her future husband joined the firm for the summer following his first year of law school, Michelle was assigned to show him the ropes. Michelle told ABC News, "Because I went to Harvard and he went to Harvard, and the firm thought, oh, we'll hook these two people up." So there was a little intrigue, but I must say, after about a month, Barack, about a month in, asked me out, and I thought, no way, this is completely tacky. If Michelle wasn't interested, her coworkers certainly were. As the former First Lady wrote in her memoir, Becoming, word had spread that one of his professors at Harvard, the daughter of a managing partner, claimed he was the most gifted law student she'd ever encountered. People at the law firm were also talking about how handsome Barack was, but Michelle was far from impressed. Michelle wrote, "In my experience, you put a suit on a half-intelligent black man and white people tended to go bonkers. I was doubtful he'd earned the hype." Of course, before long, Barack ended up convincing Michelle that he was in fact worth a shot. Barack and Michelle's first date was so legendary that it inspired the 2016 movie, South Side with You. The film follows the lovebirds as they first realize they totally click. But in another world, this allegedly amazing day the Obamas spent together could have never happened if Barack wasn't so set on Michelle. As the former president wrote on Oprah.com, "I asked her out. She refused. I kept asking. She kept refusing." But perhaps Michelle's refusal had less to do with her not being interested and more with how it would look professionally. Barack recalled Michelle's reason for not accepting at first, writing, "I'm your advisor," she said. "It's not appropriate. Finally, I offered to quit my job, and at last she relented." As for what they did on the date that changed everything for the future Obamas, here's what we know. Barack took Michelle to an art museum. As Barack told The Hollywood Reporter, "Art, guys out there, it impresses people." There was also lunch and a movie, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. And finally, the young couple had dessert, as Barack revealed on Oprah.com. "I treated her to the finest ice cream Baskin-Robbins had to offer, our dinner table doubling as the curb. I kissed her and it tasted like chocolate." Marriage was a point of contention between Barack and Michelle Obama while they were dating. She was pretty adamant she wanted to be married, while he wasn't convinced about the necessity of it. They had this discussion many times over, with both of them firmly standing their ground. When Barack finally decided to pop the big question, he cunningly exploited this dynamic to put together a proposal that was truly a huge surprise. As they were out for dinner at one of their go-to spots, Chicago restaurant Gordon, the future president brought up marriage again. As Michelle recalled in Becoming, "He reached for my hand and said that as much as he loved me with his whole being, he still didn't really see the point." The future Mrs. Obama was livid. They'd had a nice dinner and now Barack was bringing up this sore spot again. Little did she know that she'd fallen for the ruse and everything was going exactly according to plan. Michelle revealed on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that the waiter put a platter in front of her with a little box.
He opened up the box and he said, "Now that ought to shut you up." It did.
Once Michelle stopped being angry and realized what was happening, the proposal could finally unfold. Michelle wrote in Becoming, "He dropped to one knee then, and with an emotional hitch in his voice, asked sincerely if I'd please do him the honor of marrying him." You know in rom-coms when everyone is preparing for a big wedding and everything suddenly goes wrong? It sounds like Michelle and Barack Obama's wedding day, which took place in Chicago in 1992, got off to a pretty panicky start just like that. But thankfully, everything panned out perfectly fine in the end. In an Instagram snapshot of their wedding day, Michelle wrote in the caption, "You can't tell it from this photo, but Barack woke up on our wedding day in October 1992 with a nasty head cold. Somehow, by the time I met him at the altar, it had miraculously disappeared, and we ended up dancing almost all night." In Barack Obama's Instagram bio, it says dad and husband before it says president. In Michelle Obama's, it says girl from the South Side before it says former First Lady. The message? The Obamas are people first and public figures second. As such, their lives before Barack's 8 years as the President of the United States were really pretty normal. All things considered, Michelle made this very clear in her speech at the 2012 Democratic National Convention, saying,
"Our life before moving to Washington was filled with simple joys. Saturdays at soccer games, Sundays at grandma's house."
Of course, it wasn't a completely ordinary life. After all, Barack served as an Illinois state senator starting in 1997 and a U.S. senator from 2005. But none of this could fully prepare them for the amount of limelight the presidency entails. The Obamas' marriage is founded on a deep mutual support and respect, but even so, Michelle Obama has typically preferred to exercise caution where Barack Obama's career possibilities were concerned. When at last, after weeks of the couple debating whether he should run for president, Michelle agreed that he should, but she had more than her fair share of doubts. Michelle wrote in Becoming, "I supported him in campaigning, but I also felt certain he wouldn't make it all the way. He spoke so often and so passionately of healing our country's divisions, but I'd seen enough of the divisions to temper my own hopes. I didn't really think he could win." Despite her concerns, Michelle's husband pushed through, becoming the Democratic presidential nominee in August 2008 and the president-elect in November of that year. The presidency was, perhaps predictably, a difficult time for Michelle and Barack Obama's marriage. The sheer workload it entailed, coupled with the pressure to appear a certain way at official engagements, caused a certain amount of disconnection between the spouses. In his memoir, A Promised Land, Barack wrote, "There were nights when, lying next to Michelle in the dark, I'd think about those days when everything between us felt lighter, and my heart would suddenly tighten at the thought that those days might not return." Barack reiterated this thought while talking to People in 2020, telling the outlet, "During the time we were there, Michelle felt this underlying tension, pressure, stress of needing to get everything right, to be on at every moment. Thankfully, Michelle thought very seriously about ways to keep the peace within the family unit, and one of her solutions was to strictly separate Barack's work from their personal life together." In a 2018 appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Michelle said she tried not to interfere with her husband's decisions as the commander-in-chief. The former First Lady went on to add,
If I wanted to deliver a real message, I did it through staffs. So I had my chief of staff talk to his chief of staff.
Life as the president and first lady came with a unique set of pressures that made an otherwise normal marriage difficult. So when the Obamas left the White House in January 2017, they felt overwhelming relief that eventually helped them to repair their relationship. In her 2018 appearance on Stephen Colbert's show, Michelle told the host that upon leaving the White House for the final time, she cried for nearly a half hour. Michelle went on to add,
And it was just the release of 8 years of feeling like we had to do everything perfectly.
Barack Obama echoed this sentiment as well, telling People in 2020,
Yeah, it was like a big exhale right after we leave office.
Since 2017, the Obamas have been able to find a renewed sense of friendship, joy, and lightness with each other. As for how they're spending their free time, Michelle gave a clue when she told Oprah Winfrey in 2016 about the normalcy she was looking forward to post-White House.
I want to go to Target again.
Barack and Michelle Obama are incredibly proud parents to daughters Sasha and Malia, and from what we can tell, they've done a pretty amazing job raising them to be well-rounded women. While Malia enrolled at Harvard University in 2017, her younger sister Sasha started at the University of Michigan in 2019. As part of British Vogue's Forces for Change issue, Michelle told Duchess Meghan Markle that her daughters are polar opposites. One speaks freely and often, one opens up on her own terms, one shares her innermost feelings, the other is content to let you figure it out. Neither approach is better or worse, because they've both grown into smart, compassionate, and independent young women. Barack and Michelle, ever supportive of each other, also often praise their spouse's parenting skills on social media. Barack wrote on Instagram in 2021, "On this Mother's Day, I want to thank Michelle for being such an incredible mom to our girls." As for his wife, she reciprocated with a sweet Father's Day post, writing, "Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, especially the one and only Barack Obama. Our daughters couldn't have asked for a better role model. We're so lucky to have you in our lives." Barack Obama became president because he believed in the inherent goodness of people, and Michelle Obama supported him in that mission. In fact, this will to give back and make the world a better place was partly why she fell for him in the first place. While speaking on her podcast, Michelle told her husband, "One of the reasons I fell in love with you is because you are guided by the principle that we are each other's brothers and sisters' keepers, and that's how I was raised." Since leaving the White House, the Obamas have remained fiercely committed to furthering the causes closest to their hearts. efforts, notably through their Obama Foundation. The foundation's about page reads, "The Obama Foundation is guided by a core belief that ordinary people working together can change history. Our mission is to inspire those people to take action, empower them to change their world for the better, and connect them so they can achieve more together." To this end, the organization uses various programs to create support and opportunities for young men and boys of color, promote education for girls around the world, and form the leaders of tomorrow across Africa, Asia Pacific, and Europe. Whether it's dancing to Thriller at the White House's Halloween party in 2016 or sharing an intimate slow dance, Michelle and Barack Obama love the power of a good lap around the dance floor to keep their spark alive. In fact, for Valentine's Day 2020, Barack called Michelle his, quote, forever dance partner on Instagram. The Obamas also danced on many occasions during their time in the White House, kicking off with the 10 balls on Inauguration Day in 2009. At the inaugural ball in 2013, Barack introduced Michelle for their first dance by saying,
"Ladies and gentlemen, my better half and my dance partner, Michelle Obama."
As Michelle walked onto the stage in a gorgeous red gown, she and Barack shared a kiss before slow dancing to a serenade from Jennifer Hudson. Whatever happens, it looks like the Obamas' dancing days are far from over, and that brings us nothing but joy. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.